Hey there, welcome to Escapades the podcast. I am your host, Lorena Hernandez, your transformational coach. Join me in exploring taboo topics focused on the 5 drivers of empowerment. Welcome to Escapades. Today's topic is misconceptions about divorce. Some time ago, back in 2018, I was struggling through going on a roller coaster of emotions about everything that was going on in my life. After having blessed in living in Texas or beautiful Texas for 6 years, I had to be summoned back into my country per immigration situation. Many of you resemble or can this resonate with this idea because a lot of us are either um, living in here illegally or we are here under a working visa. Many many of you could also be living in a situation where you were petitioned by your spouse, and then guess what? You're here in a different country and things are not working out. On my personal life, in my story, I was in some of those because the reason I had to go back was because I couldn't secure my green card through work. Coming from that frustration was really impactful into my life. And I had also been carrying in the back a story of infidelity in my marriage. At that time, it was a 18-year, 20-year marriage by then. So 2018, I decided just to take another job opportunity that brought me back to Texas, where I'm situated, and adventure myself, or as I put it in the intro of this show, escapade. So my first adventure here is a lot revolving about being divorced. What does it mean to be divorced for us, Latinx, or minority women? When I decided to actually, as they say in Mexico, amarrarme los pantalones or man up and say, no more, I'm first, I need to look for myself and decide to divorce, I went through a lot of concepts that had been taught to me throughout my childhood. Concepts that maybe you, my viewer, or my listener can be familiarized with. Like, I need to stay married. Why? For the benefit of the children. Guess what? My children were young adults. Maybe you are in the same situation. Really? Do you need to stay married just because you have 2 grown-up kids? Or maybe your kids are in high school and are almost out the door. Another concept that I had in there was, what if I divorce? If I divorce, everyone in my family and all my friends and everyone around me is going to think, oh, she failed. She couldn't make it. She's weak. Another thing I was thinking is, if I divorce, what's going to be the impact on my kids? And again, my kids were not children, they were adults. So, also, I thought about the after effect of divorcing, when your children as adults versus divorcing when your children are actually little kiddos. So, there was a lot of work, a lot of thoughts that needed to be discarded and dismissed. Coming from there, coincidentally or not, while I went back to live in Mexico, my mom all of a sudden sent me a posting that she saw in Facebook by a lady called Maria Ampudia. And I'm going to read it in English for the purposes of delivery of this of this podcast. So reading it literally, translated literally. So pardon me if something does not mismatch. I just try to keep the text as accurate as possible. She titled her posting, "Divorce is a Failure?" I came to the conclusion that no, we get married, we start a family, we are happy for a few years, but people change and not always in the same way. That is where love often ends. People say, you failed in your marriage, but in reality, on many occasions, it is accepting to close a beautiful circle of life, to give space and freedom and not live in a deception. Failure is playing happy family. Failure is cheating on your partner and your children, and most seriously, cheating on yourself. Failure is staying for convenience. Failure is manipulating your partner with the children. Failure is giving or and living a great life. Failure is not coming happy home every night. Failure is failure is begging for the love of someone who no longer loves you. Failure is pretending you love. Failure is staying for fear of loneliness. Failure is living with absurd social or religious rules for fear of what will they say. Failure is not having the courage to fight for your happiness. Failure is believing that love does not exist. A mature divorce is respecting the father or mother of your children for life. It is knowing how to live together as a family as many times as possible without ties or commitments, just for fun. A round of applause to all those who have had the courage not to live in failure, and a standing ovation to those who are still happy and in love after so many years. Fight for your marriage, but when there is no more to fight for, then fight for your happiness. When I finished reading back in 2020 that posting, I was literally like shocked. It really said, kind of like in concise words, everything that I was having conflict and fighting over. Yes, it's true. If we are not fighting for ourselves, then who are we trying to make happy? If you as an as a empowered woman you do not fight for your happiness, then guess what? You're not making happy your children because your children are seeing you that you are contradictory into what you are professing to do, and you are lying to yourself. You are just playing and holding on and holding on. Always, when you have those type of things, the most important concept or question that you should ask yourself is, what is the worst that could happen? And then when you respond that question, ask yourself again, what is the worst that could happen if that happened? So if you are considering divorce, and hear me, not saying I am encouraging anyone to divorce, but I do share my agreement with one of those last statements in this posting. If there is nothing else to fight for, because you have already tried therapy, you have already tried reading millions and millions of books, you have tried counseling, you have attended and flip yourself around trying to see maybe it's me. And I'm saying that because that was me back in the day. I tried, I feel like every single human resource possible to try to salvage that marriage. And it still wasn't there until one day when I was able to separate myself and coming back into this new job that made me be completely isolated of my reality, because sometimes that's what we have to do. We have to go away to clear our thoughts and reset our thinking. And once we have a clear mind, then we can make the best decisions for you. And coming in there, one thing that you're going to probably hear me saying a lot over this podcast is the following: making the best decisions is not making the best decisions for your kids, is not making the best decisions for your parents, or making the best decisions for next week. It's making the best decisions for you right now, today. What is the best decision you can take with what you have, with what you're seeing, with how you're feeling? So I invite you to please move away from that concept about I will be considered a failure if I divorce. Maybe there's more work done, and guess what? Sunshine and happiness is on the other side. You have a lot of escapades to run on your own. No matter if you are 30, if you're 20, if you're 50 or 60. I took that step when I was 42. And again, I had two young adults already graduated and enrolled into college. So, my wish for you is to be happy and work on yourself to start over. If you are interested in learning more about how I overcome that stage in my life, click on the link below and you can buy in Barnes& and Noble or Amazon my book where I tell you more about it.
That wraps up another insightful episode of Escapades the podcast. We hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. We will be discussing another taboo topic weekly. Before we go, if you have found value in our content, please share it. It helps us reach more people like you. Also, connect with us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. We would love to hear your thoughts and ideas for future episodes. And if you're interested in scheduling a coaching session with me, the link is on the show notes. I'm always happy to help people achieve their personal and professional goals. Thanks again for living this journey with me. Until next time, keep escaping.